And since since everyone has a stick, full-size stick, let's actually use the thing to warm up. So, as an example of one of the ways that we can use the stick for warm-up is practicing wah-wah, practicing holding the stick. So the first thing we usually do is the breathing exercise. So you can use this, taking the stick, and then as you lower it, practicing your wah-wah, right? Find the right length, the right scale, when you get back to here. So kind of like when we do an empty hand, you reach out to the side and bring it down, you're making a circle. But now, with the stick, so reaching up, expanding, bring it down. You can use the longer one, but one of the purposes for this is getting accustomed to the size and shape of your BIAN gun. So go at your own pace. You can make it a stretch reaching all the way to the top. And so this is a basic sort of qigong. I know that Charlotte, studying the 8 pieces of brocade, being similar to the first one here, you can do that entire series holding the stick, right? So what's the number 3 is, if you have this one, you're reaching, and you stretch here, right? And what's number 4? Turning this way, whichever way you practice for the, what's number 5, this one, bringing this back. We reach up and over. 6 is the tiger punch stuff. 7, tapping here, and then 8, using the stick for bouncing, right? So you can incorporate the stick, and you can take even TC's Taiji form, grasp the sparrow's tail, ward off. I have a version of TC's form that I do with the Jian, with the Taiji Jian, and it works the same. So wherever you can add it, let's continue. So take the thing, and then just on each corner of the neck, so pressing down. And then do the same thing at the top of the back. So just feel the top of your shoulder blades, and then where there's tension. And then reach out, and your palms should fit in sort of a, because the proportion is based off of your own scale, and then we're going to turn. So push up through the head top, relax your tailbone, and use your abs. So starting and stopping power. Long breathing, same long breathing we started with. And allow there to be some overlap so it doesn't just stop and hit, but so that when it reaches the limit, it goes past just a little bit. So allow allow your spine to relax a little bit and use this. If you're pushing up through the neck and relaxing down through the tailbone, we can turn around the center. And then next, take the thing and holding it in one hand, turn it behind your arm, and then use this to massage this outside part of your tricep and the back of the arm. Remember to breathe. So because we're warming up, we want to take in as much oxygen as we can. And then changing, go to the other side, the same. This is kind of a weird massage now that you have a regular size stick, the feeling of this here. And then on the other side, take your fingertips, you can use your palm, and then like you're using the stick as an extension of your arm, pushing up, turning back. Extend your head and neck, and turn to look. Come back to the center, and try the other side. So like you want to use the stick to move something, to push something. And in this case, we're using the arm, so we're going to use the stick like an extension to push the arm, the pecs, and the shoulders up and away. So go at your own pace. And then relax, come back to the center. So next, we did a little bit of with the stick here. Let's do some turning. Keep the stick on the center. Keep your neck straight. And when you do this turning, almost like you're rowing or sweeping something, but keep the stick connected to your torso. And then I want you to imagine with your center line that your shoulders, try to keep the feet in this one right parallel for right now, and that we want to sweep right along the feet this way. I want you to think about doing this with your shoulders. But using the stick connected to the center. So in this case, you can actually be using some pressure because I'm wearing dark clothes. Maybe it's harder to see, but it's the stick is actually going into the belly fat a little bit, and the reason is because I want to use that center. If I want to make power, so I can use my body. Right, I'm pressing both on my body and on this thing at the same time, so that I have a lever. Right. Was it Archimedes said, give me a lever, right? We're going to use the stick as a lever to move much greater weight than we would normally use. So this turning. So look for the shape, should be moving right around your center. Did we change directions? And then keep your shoulders relaxed so that they're sitting down. You can change directions either way, pressing forward or rolling backwards. And then keep your center column, the spinal column, vertical, and your shoulders start to turn around it, and it creates this rocking movement in the torso to open up the upper body. Remember to breathe, and then change, come back to the center. Next, we're going to do a little bit of bending at the waist. So take your stick, push it in, and then allow it to remain there and relax. And then see if you can, as if somebody is taking the stick and lifting it vertically. So pulling your waist
towards the ceiling. Allow your neck and head to fully relax. And then when you're ready, grip the ground with your feet. Activate your whole legs, your calves, your glutes, everything. Catch the stick on the way up, breathing. Make a stretch, reach all the way. And then relax. We're going to do another one of those as well. So the same thing. Take the stick, push it into the center, fold yourself in half over it. Grip the ground with your feet. And then fully relax your back, your shoulders, your neck, your head, your arms. And then as if the stick, like a trapeze, there's ropes going to the ceiling, and they can be pulled vertically. So get a stretch, and then when you're ready, activate the ground, grip your feet. Use your whole legs to stand, catch the stick, unroll all the way up. Breathe deep and relax. For the legs, we're going to start at the top and work our way down. So take a nice square step, and then just like pressing downwards, use as much power as you feel comfortable, and be sure to get all the way to the outside. If you can reach to the back, keep your neck straight while you're doing this. Remember to breathe. Again, use as much power as you can generate comfortably. Maybe even moving outside of the comfort level a little bit. Go all the way to the inside, and the same thing, if you can reach the back from the inside, whether you change facing one direction in here or reaching the back from the outside, try to get as much as you can. And then next, you can use a chair, right? You can use it to practice balance, but going right around this horseshoe shape above the top of the kneecap. After practicing this a few times, you should be able to find the points. You can use it to practice your balance if you like, but you can just as easily pull up a chair or a stool or a bench. And then practice the other side. One hand is generally considered dominant, so practice making this kind of short tapping power with both sides. Remember to do the breathing and try to keep the best posture, the structure that you can as well. And then next, similar to what we were doing a second ago, using two hands, this one is working along the outside of the leg. So if you're new to this type of tapping, go lightweight and try not to hit yourself in the bone. So there's a line from where your kneecap is, down the front outside of the shin, and on the side where it's all muscle tissue, just work that. Try to relax the tissue itself so that and then you can make the tapping more relaxed. Breathing deep, practice your balance. Where you feel an area that feels good, work that a little bit more. Remember, we have to do both sides. This one, by the way, is easy to do if you sit down in the chair and you cross your leg. you're sitting upright, getting this band of muscles on the front of the shin. Pardon me. Next, let's do the back of the leg. If we make a stretch, keep the back and the neck straight, and then tapping all the way down the back. Practice making power with just one hand. And then when you're ready, push forward, push up. Breathe deep, change for the other side. Grip your standing foot. Sit back. Use the other hand and tap away. It's challenging, right? Because especially when we use the other hand, we can't make the right kind of power. So we can use that as an opportunity to improve. When we find something is challenging or difficult, we can, you're in your body for the rest of your life, so we can spend some time improving how we take care of it, how we move it. So tap the bottom of your feet. Same thing for balance. You can cross the leg if you want to get a support this way by attaching the legs to each other to strengthen themselves, or if you want to practice your balance. And then try some on the top of the feet, on the tops of your toes. There's a lot of bones, the metatarsal and tarsal bones in the foot, so don't hit those too hard. Just wherever feels good. Remember, we're doing the other side as well. Especially the arch, where your foot, you can feel it when you're tapping. That shape is very clear. So that's the space where if you can give it some power. Do some on the top on the other side as well. Be careful if you have little doggies running around. They don't like to stick sometimes. All right, next, let's actually do something a little bit different before we do the stick form. If you make your feet shoulder width wide and comfortable stance, you don't have to make it very wide, just as if you're going to do some standing. And make them parallel. And then if you find the spot that's directly between them, and you make that center spot go forward so that there's a triangle. So if we measure this distance here, we find the halfway mark and we move it up, that we have an equilateral triangle between the toes and where the stick is. Right? This, by the way, this is the same point that we're looking for in the Tai Chi class when we talk about the basic geometry, and we have this triangle here. Right? If you look from the side and we're looking downwards, it's the same triangle. We're going to leave the stick in the front and put in the right hand, the palm lao gong, right on top of it. And then the other hand is the same. We're going to put lao gong onto the back of lao gong here, onto the top of the stick. So, from wherever you're at, relax your arms as if the stick is holding the weight. So, find the structure. Find your inner structure and connect it to the stick. So your spine is vertical. So push up through the back of your neck. Relax your shoulders. Relax your elbows. Relax your arms. Your arms, your hands may start to slide a little bit this way as they relax. That's actually okay. Just allow them to get to their natural spot without falling off, keeping just enough grip. And then the same thing in the body. We want to have just enough power to keep everything upright. So relax your tailbone. Activate your feet like you're really gripping them, and then allow them to relax to the point where they don't change the shape, so that they don't collapse, so the structure is still full and expanded, but using as little power as possible. And then go through the body and do the same. So breathing, allow everything to expand because it's relaxed. And then, if your stick is off just a little bit, you should be able to feel where it's lined up correctly. Make an adjustment. Pushing up through the top of the head, keep the chin tucked. Now imagine standing with the stick. There's an imagination that goes with it. And the imagination is something positive. So, if you like to hike, imagine standing at the top of the mountain, the top of the trailhead, wherever you like to hike, and overseeing the view. You have an overlook. You can see something. If you like martial arts, imagine standing after you win the battle, after you win the fight, and you can overlook the field and its victory. If you don't like to do any of those things, if you like to sit around and meditate, imagine standing where you are and you have a stick and you see out over the world the change that you see in it. Check to see that you have a very serious expression on your face. And then relax. You can use it for standing meditation, this type of exercise. How many know the term 1,000-yard stare when you practice this? See past the computer screen. See past the wall beyond it. See past the building across the street. See past the next 10 city blocks and past all the trees, past the atmosphere. 1,000-yard stare, 1,000-mile stare, 1,000-light-year stare. See all the way to the center of the universe. Keep your feet on the ground, so relax your tailbone. Take a deep breath and let everything relax. So we'll change. We're going to change from being static to moving. So now that Tia has a full-size stick, yay, we're going to practice. We're going to go back through the form. And we're going to start with the basics. So going back to this thing is just turning the stick in your hands. It should feel more comfortable and it should feel easier, as if you can get a balance between throwing the stick on one end and pulling the stick on the other. Or when you're throwing one end up, you're sliding the other end under, right? The hands working together to transfer the stick from one side to the other. So it should become, you can turn one continuous circle back and forth. And then we can also add the same thing, try not to hit the wall of your computer, but a U shape going out instead of like a windshield wiper, like a street sweeper this way. And the same thing, if your stick has, question?
I'm sorry, ask this again?
When you were taking your stick and just going in a circle continuously as opposed to...
All right, yeah, let's look at it. So this is, instead of stopping at this point, is now that it's here, I flip my palms and then turn it, and then flip my hands, turn it, and then flip. So one palm is up, one palm is down, turn, flip, full rotation, flip the palms, full rotation, flip the palms, full rotation. So to make it turning like that, you have to get practice, right? This is just like anything else. When you see somebody, race car drivers, people flying airplanes, they have a lot of hours. They spend a lot of time doing the thing. So just going back and forth, I actually don't do this turning one, but because I have spent a lot of time playing with the BIAN, I can allow it to sort of, as I change my palms here, support it with my hands without having to grip it, right? So if you put it in your elbow right here, now you have two hands, this kind of thing. And so you can operate something and then change, take it out and put it into the other elbow. And then change it, hold it from one elbow and let it go and change to the other one. And then operate your phone, right? Securing it this way. Yes?
I mean, it's very cool, but so when you're doing this, the thing is, it's almost invisible. Your hands, I can't see it.
Okay, so if I'm going here, when I turn, right, I'm turning this way, and then I flip my palms. And then I turn, they slide past each other. I have one palm up, one palm down. And I'm going to turn both of my palms. You see, I have to sort of juggle it within my fingers to get it to do the thing, right? So here.
Right, but there's I mean, what's really cool about what you're doing is there's no visible stop when you do that.
That's the objective, right? That's what we're looking for. So this is the same way. How many? Hang on for 1 second. How many have seen something like this? These things, right? They make a sound, and especially if you hit them together. The idea is you want to be able to get them going continuously without running into each other, right? And so this is the same kind of thing. Once you practice, right? All right, yeah. So try doing that juggling. The name for these in Mandarin, by the way, is called bao ding. And so do it without allowing them to touch, right? And then do some going the other way. Yeah, you can. In the beginning, no one can because they don't have the practice. This is a skill. So the same thing here. If I'm turning this, you can't see because my waba is so good. And so I'm using the term waba here as more of a generic, like we say, like a hand trick, right? The hand technique is we can just slide back and forth. Even this one, try to make this one as smooth as possible. Go all the way to the ends of the stick. And then try to keep it right. Keep the hands in the center, just doing this, right? Like almost like you're flipping, the palms are open, right? So you have to, go ahead.
I say too much, but when you're doing the hand flip, I assume it's kind of happening as you're turning, otherwise there would be a stop.
Right? So this is the practice. This is the thing. So you have to keep a certain amount of tension in your arms. So even if I don't use my hands, right, we should be able to flip this thing, right? That's what I'm doing here. I'm not gripping it. As it reaches this end, one end is supporting and the other end is preventing it from tipping up. And then once it reaches that balance point, I flip it back. So even without gripping it, right? This is, how many have seen, there's a funny video of a panda playing with a stick, right? You can Google, look it up on YouTube, on Google, panda stick form, something
They don't have a thumb. They don't have a prehensile thumb. They can't grip around the stick. So you see the bear is actually has to flip the stick with enough sort of speed so that he can flat-hand it, right? This is the trick.
Do you think it's real, or is that, I mean, it's so incredible, it doesn't look like it possibly.
I've actually seen a couple of different ones with a couple of different bears and different animals playing. Mark and I were talking about this. I don't know if all of it's real or if they're real at all, but the one that I'm referring to, I can maybe email you. It looks pretty legit because it's very uncoordinated. The thing is literally just whipping the stick between its arms, kind of like what I'm doing. But I don't want to risk. There's computer equipment laying around and stuff, so and glass and whatever else. So, but you can try it in your yard. If you watch, you have to get it with enough power, and then once it hits, so that it doesn't fall out. But because we have a more finite control with the fingers, you can practice. Right, my palms are open, so like you're baking a pastry or something that you're handling with your hands this way, with the right sort of pressure and power. And then turning is the same thing. So as it turns over, right, if I go closer to the screen, as it turns over, I'm holding with my fingertips here. So almost like doing something like this. But you can even, if I slow down, I can even allow the backs of my fingers to do the wah-wah, right? So this is the same if you see the drummers in a rock and roll band. Those guys can twirl the sticks between their fingers. Go onto YouTube and also look up pen finger juggling. I don't know what the search term for it would be, but there's people that have spent a lot of time in board meetings and business meetings, and they twirling a pen, and they can twirl it between their fingers and make it spin all around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. This is a skill, and the name for this skill in Mandarin is what you see written here. It says Kung Fu. And Kung Fu, translated, means a type of merit or accomplishment that comes after a lot of hard work. So for Kung Fu is not limited to, let's keep working while we talk. In American culture, it's thought of as on this program from the 70s with David Carradine, Kung Fu, right? And it was the first, a lot of Americans' introduction to Chinese martial arts and Shaolin. But Kung Fu in Chinese culture can be applied to anything. And I'm certain that if you've taken my class, you've heard me say this before, but Kung Fu, if you're a cook, right, you're a chef, and you can go into the kitchen and only find a few ingredients and whip up a meal that tastes good for a number of people to eat, you have good cooking Kung Fu. And if you're a fisherman and you like to go to the stream or the lake to fish, and you know exactly where to throw the thing, and maybe know how to tie the lures for the fish, you have good fishing Kung Fu. So weak Kung Fu must go, which means when we practice, we should practice what we practice when we practice it. So for this thing, turning it over, I don't practice this one a lot, but it's the same exercise as this one. After some time, you just see the continuous nature of it. The same way when you see the people making the pasta noodles, right, or any master chef, somebody making a pizza, they can throw it in the air and catch it on one hand and still it doesn't fall apart, right? This is the idea. Before we continue, questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. This basic exercise, by the way, is these sort of two, this horizontal sweep and vertical sweep, and some combinations thereof make up a big portion of the form. And then also, like we said, getting used to holding the stick and what it's like when it's moving, catching it when we lose it, and controlling it whenever it starts to lose control, that type of thing becomes better and better with time, because the stick won't change very much. You can see if you look
They can get worn down if you use them for walking stick out in the desert for many, many miles. Even in sand, because sand is actually very, very small rocks, right? Sounds funny. So they can get worn down, but the stick will not change very much, right? And while you're using it, you won't notice that change. So even after a year or two, if it's diminished by a quarter inch or half inch or something from heavy use, that will feel natural. So because it's something that doesn't change as a constant, you can continuously improve at it. This is just like the Tai Chi stuff. So the more you work with it, every time you pick it up, even if it's just to sleep with it. I had teachers in school, and they would say, you can't learn by osmosis. You can't, I would sleep and study hall. I didn't care to read. I was tired. So they would say the data will not go into your head. But here, if you sleep with your stick, your chi will go into the stick and return to you as well. Let's do the form, and we'll do the whole thing. I'm going to come back and reset for the second section, and then we'll talk about places where we have questions. So either bookmark it. I'm going to change directions, so just hang in there. From the salute, we have the ready stance, and then blocking, cast, recoil, flip, smash, up, spinning block, pushing down, up to the corner, high hit, low hit, tip up, forward, turn, 2, 3, and then reset, going in this direction, forward. Waba, flip into the elbow, catch and scoop, catch and smash, pop up, hit back, reset, pop up, hit back, reset, iron fan 1, iron fan 2, sweep, sweep, elbow, smash, smash, turn, 2, 3. So now if I'm facing that direction from here, left block, right block, step, waba, salute. Should we do that again? I almost fell over one time. Yeah, all right, let's do that again. So from the center, ready. And by the way, for this ready, my feet are facing this direction. The end of my staff is facing that direction. I'm facing that direction in my elbow. So just as if you have a sword that's here. By the way, this form is very versatile. If you look at the proportion for the BIAN, and this is a Miao Dao. It's considered a Miao Dao is like grass blade sword. It's a big weapon. But if we have the proportion here and we zoom in, you'll see that my handle for my BIAN, these points, right, these dots, correlate to the hilt for this sword. So if I set them down, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 grips. The same thing with my BIAN is if I start from where that point is 1, 2, 3, 4 grips. So this, we can use BIAN for Miao Dao practice. So when we have this, you can think of it as a sword, and when it's here, like a sword that's in its hilt. Later we're going to examine how to use the bladed end when we're cutting and casting. So let's go back to the beginning. For Tika, now that you have an actual BIAN, if you hold the first grip where the tail of the weapon is flush with the end of your hand, flat that way, right? And then you put your next hand right above it, 2, and then 3, and then 4. So this fourth grip is is considered a standard place to grip on the stick. So, and then when we're doing this intro, it will become. I've marked mine, right? Like I put some markers on mine. I didn't with yours because I don't have the proportion, but I think did we measure something for Charlotte for your BIAN? Isn't it? It doesn't the marking start? Yeah, it's actually the marking ends right there. Yeah. So that's when you see that line, that's the place where you're holding it. That would be the equivalent of if you're using a long sword, right? You would have this, and then the rest of that is blade. So later when we go to practice, anything past the fourth grip is considered a blade. Let's go back to the beginning from here. We have salute, we're ready, block, cast, waba, flip, smash, up, block, schwan is drill, high hit, low hit, tip up, forward, turn, 2, 3, change. And so from here, waba, elbow, catch, scoop, reach, hit, up, back, pop up, back, iron fan. Hit to the right, hit to the left, scoop, sweep, elbow. And then from here, smash, smash, turn, 2, 3. So go back to facing north. And then from here, step to avoid, block left. Step to avoid, block right. Step forward, waba. And then should we do that again, or do you have a question? Okay. We'll go. I'll try to maintain a slower pace. So from here, salute. This first one can be a strike, right? We think of it as just getting to here, ready. But from here, there's a lot of power, right? You can hit something with a strike. So even the opening flick of the wrist and then block, cast, recoil, hit, smash, wah-wah, cut up. Step back. Next one, going to one side, hit, and then right to the same space, hit, sweep, sweep, elbow, smash, smash, and then turn it just like a half circle. Block left, block right, center. Should we do that again? Yeah.
Can you do like the second section, the entire second section?
Yep. Yeah, let's do that. So By the way, for those of you using a stick, even if it's been milled, if it's been sanded, there's usually some difference, unless it's a larger piece of wood that's been put in. But I'm fairly certain everyone here has a yin and yang, which means the one end is heavier than the other. I don't know if you can see, right? And so in this form, that becomes important because some of the movements they're using the same. In the first section, we're hitting the ankle hit with the heavy end, but when we end the second section, we do the ankle hit with the lighter end, right? So we're going to start distinguishing, as if it wasn't confusing enough. We're going to make a distinction between the yin and yang ends of it. So the reason I'm saying this is because when we get to the transition to the first and second section, we're using the bigger end to hit, right? So mine is marked. I have some markings on it. My other end is blank. So that's how I use the yin and yang. I can, for this class, may add some kind of tape or some kind of marker so that you can clearly see. But I'm hitting with and we call that the heavy end, the club end, the thick end, something, and this other end is the thin end, the poking end, the narrow, something like that. So we have a distinction between yin and yang. And in this case, we're hitting with the thick end. So we have this kind of hit. And then we do wah-bah. And from the wah-bah, our target moving forward, we're taking our left hand and folding it into our right elbow. And we can do that with the step. There's double power, 1, 2. And that power, right, moving forward, this here. And then for the next one, the same thing, our hand and foot, left hand and left foot, are going to reach forward to scoop. My right hand is going to turn the stick over, and I'm going 90 degrees. So if I was traveling forward this way, I did 1, 2, when I reach, if I'm going from south to north, when I turn 90 degrees to the west, and I'm holding my stick, it's between my ribs, under my elbow, and this other hand has almost like you're holding a pen or a big chopstick, right? Something like this. So scoops up 90 degrees, and this other hand is underneath here. So for the scoop comes up, and then I'm going to turn back to the north, and as I turn, I'm going to reach. I'm bringing this back so that I can swing it over to smash, right? So this thing here, and then reach, turn, hit. Right. So then the next one from this next smash is the pop-up. And so for these, by the way, this is, like when I'm teaching this, we can talk about several different ways to practice. After we're doing the smash here, I'm doing a wah-bah, and I'm using my stick long ways to go this way, and then step back. But remember what we just were talking about a second ago, right? I can take my stick and transfer all the way to the ends, and that makes for a long power, right? Like a golf swing kind of power. Careful not to hit the floors. Or after I've done, let's see, where is it? Scoop, smash. Watch this one. Right from the center. So instead of doing the long, right after I do the smash, instead of throwing my weapon here to get the long distance and then getting under it to do this, I'm doing something different. If it's a shorter range from my smash, let's say instead of trying to reach all the way over here, my target is right here, I can still do the pop-up and hit in a smaller, because I'm making the radius of my circle smaller in the center. Pop up here, hit. opposed to pop up over there, hit back there, pop, hit. Right? So the taiji, the paisley shape, will become larger or smaller depending on the form. Right? By the way, I'm demonstrating this so you have a different way to see those two movements. So we have smash, we have some type of hit up, back, hit up, back, the next one on one side to the same side, sweep across, sweep back across, sweep across into the elbow, sweep back across to the corner. So this one we can think about as like if we have like train tracks and we're just trying to stay within either edge of each train track. So after the iron fan, we have iron fan 1, iron fan 2. If I'm traveling from south to north, this sweep, my stick stays parallel to the tracks. And then the next sweep here, I'm actually going a little bit to the corner, but just for sake of understanding, I keep it parallel to those tracks. And then the same thing, when I turn this into my elbow, you see my stick would be parallel this way. And then the same thing, when I unwind this for this smash, it's lined up. And then the same, it's lined up here. Later we can zigzag and change all kinds of directions, going up and down. But for now, think of this as going from one side to the other side to the one side and back, right? It's just zigzagging back and forth, right? That last section is like a straight line moving forward. Again, later we'll see how to change the step, but you should be able to get from one side to the other without, We have just a few minutes left. Any specific questions on something? Before we let's do this for our closing. We can practice the last two blocks. We'll do it with some breathing. I'm going to face the other direction. If you take your stick and you have your right hand palm up, your right hand is palm down and your left hand is palm up. And again, the same thing. This is about my fourth grip. So you can see my marking there. Right? I'm holding this and this too. I haven't measured and I don't have any markings, but let's see. That's at 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite perfect, but it's close. So we have right palm down, left palm up. And they're at about, this is, by the way, considered to be, we would say, 25% marker. So 25%, 70%. This is a 50-50, 0 and 100, right? So when we're talking, we want to be grabbing it right about here. And so from here, just like we did earlier, like you're scooping past your leg. Like somebody's trying to hit your leg, and you're going to scoop, lift your leg out of the way and scoop past. And then on this other side, you're going to slide the hands together and make another circle. And then when you step, bring the hands apart, scoop, bring the hands together, scoop, apart, pass the knee, together, pass the knee, apart, pass the knee, together, pass the knee, scoop, 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 scoop. So turning these two circles, one on either side, almost like when we started with this thing this morning, right? And so this closing, the reason the hands are apart here is if we want to do, like say a chopping, like you have an axe, right? Is you keep the arms equilateral. This shape doesn't change, right? So they stay here. As opposed to some of the hand tricks that we do have this kind of snapping this way, right? But if I keep my hands locked and I use my whole torso to hit this way, What that does is it lends a structural, like a brace here, that carries across through there. So a woodcutter cutting wood cuts with this. Maybe they can wind up, but when they reach the apex, they want this full structure to go that way. This is the same. This first block, we're trying to capture the whole power for this. So if something heavy is hitting, we can use the whole body, power, and stick to move it out of the way. The same thing we did here. But the other side is different. It's a hit, right? So if there's something here, after I do my first block, the second one is just a hit, right? If there's, actually don't want to hit anything, but just like a blocking hit, there's something there, and we hit past it. So there's a hit. The other one is forcing something out of the way using the pry bar, and our body is the lever. And the other one is just knocking the thing out of the way. So there are two blocks, one on each side, slight variation. Let's do a little bit of Qigong to close. Actually, you know what? Let's keep the stick, and let's do the same thing that we started with. So breathing. Practice your wah-wah. Practice holding, carrying the stick, finding the edges of it. Go on your own pace, breathe on your own. Try to keep the Tai Chi ideas. Your neck is straight, tailbone is relaxed, the legs expanded, strong, but also relaxed. And this one also, try to keep the stick on the same plane. So don't reach it out forward as it's here. I'm bringing it up just in front of me. And then opening my arms and bringing it back down, also just in front of me. So we're not making a circle this way. I'm making a horizontal line this way. The arms are still making, the hands still sort of making organic rounded shape. But the stick, almost as if it's floating vertically in space, just on the y-axis, up and down. Do two more at your own pace. And then, when you're done, you can bring your feet together. If you're holding this right about the fourth position, it's kind of natural. It should be a very natural place for you if you're just rocking or standing around. And then if you're holding it here and you take your other hand, so this is when you have a weapon to do the salute, is the same like this. But if it's a blade or even a stick, we think of this as the handle, and we think of this as the weapon end, so we hold the handle here as such. Call, text, email, right, if you have questions.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thanks.
Thank you.